The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, on Thursday rejected a bill proposing a single 6-year term for the president and state governors, calling it anti-democratic and an attempt to limit citizens' choices. The bill, introduced by 35 houses of representative members under the reformed-minded legislators group, also suggests rotating the presidency among the 6 geopolitical zones to reduce governance costs. NANS, however, urged Nigerians, pro-democracy groups, organized labor and trade unions to mobilize against the bill.
The National Clerk of the Senate of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Yakini Adewale, warned that if passed, the bill would undermine accountability, transparency and responsibility among political leaders. He emphasized that eliminating the possibility of a second term would discourage good governance and enable leaders to focus on personal gains. NANS threatened to organize nationwide student protests to oppose the bill and protect democratic principles. Now, joining us is legal practitioner Ibukun Fasomi. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning and good morning, viewers at home.
Great to have you on the program. Let's first of all get your thoughts on this new bill. Do you share similar concerns with the Association of Nigerian Students?
Well, I do not. The position of the Nigerian students calling for a protest against that bill, for them, they have their reasons for coming against that bill, alleging that such will prevent good governance and stifle the people or the masses. I hold a different opinion. A 6-year single tenure for executive office of the president and the governor would bring to board and to bear some sincerity in terms of governance. And this is what I mean. If you look at the past, our recent past, you will realize, and agree with me, that most of our executive governors and the past presidents we have this urge to return for a second term, alleging that 4 years is not enough to do whatever it is they intended or wanted to do. By reason of that, they focus on governance, and halfway into the first term, they're already preparing for the second term. And we know what politics is about in Nigeria. It means compromise here and there. It means going all out. It means campaigns. It means strategic networking, even at times at the expense of the people and the dividends of democracy. So if we now have a single tenure of 6 years, the idea of politicizing the 50, let me say half of their tenure will no longer be there. Then the idea of people coming on board with exactly what they intend to do will be there. Then the idea of over monetizing everything. Let us not deceive ourselves as a nation. Huge funds and part of finances meant for good governance are divested and moved, deployed into politics and politicking by governors, by presidents, whose aim is to return back to office. So if we look at the bill, I think we should read into the merits of the bill. Let us not, away from sentiments, away from whatever the politician, no politician would like this idea because everybody wants to perpetuate themselves in power. But we must try to ensure that the interest of the people, the interest of the nation is supreme. What is it that a person wants to do that he will not be able to do at least start in 6 years? There is nothing. I want us to know that government is a continuum. If you can't finish it, some other people will pick it up and complete your term or project. And I want Nigerians to see the good in the bill. The people that proposed the bill gave us a number of reasons, and I agreed. If you look at the way and manner our politicians go about their issues, you will realize that we need, as a nation, to be able to call our leaders to account. And once you are done with your one term, go and sit down. Let someone else come on board. The idea of second term, the idea of electionary campaigns while in office, the idea of incumbency power in selection of candidates in primaries, all of these things have in the past overheated our politics. it has relegated democracy in political parties, and it is really affecting a nation.
All right.
For me, without really belaboring the matter for that, National Association of Nigerian Students may have, had this reason to come up with their own decision, but I challenge them. Let them go deep into the bill. Let them just oppose. Let there be a debate about this issue. And I tell you, some of them will give reasons. They will agree with reasons that simple year tenure is going to be a very good one for the nation.
All right, let's look at some other aspects of this. Let's look at some other aspects of this proposed bill. They're not just talking about the single 6-year tenure. They're also looking at the rotation of the executive functions, executive powers of the president and the state governors to the 6 geopolitical zones. They're also looking at, they're furthering the conversation about the autonomy of the local government. And they're looking at conducting elections on the same day. So we're struggling a little with being able to conduct free, fair, credible elections here in Nigeria, where we've seen what happened in 2023 elections. We now have off-cycle elections. Why? Because we're seeing that a number of cases go to court and we're in court for months, even whilst maybe some other people have been sworn into office. Do you see the possibility? Let's look at the area of conducting all the elections on the same day. Do you see that happening? Do you see how we maybe are ready or not ready for that?
Well, on the issue of conducting election on the same day across the nation, for good students of history, you recall what happened and why we now have off-cycle elections. And let us also not forget that it's a constitutional tenure, that is 4 years. So for us to have that, I do not see that coming up now. Maybe we may, as a nation, begin to plan towards it. But I don't see that happening now, because how do you explain that to those people in office who are yet to complete their 4-year tenure? We may likely tinker with the constitution, but we would have to have a kind of interim, because there will be an interregnum for those off-cycle elections now, like Ekiti, Ondo, Edo. Those people are not sure. The election will be held this year and next year to complete their 4-year tenure, as stated by the constitution. And for the general election, which will be coming up in 2027, so for us to unify and codify all to become the same, there will definitely be a need for amendment, so that there will be a constitutional provision for that interregnum to unify the conduct of election across the 36 states of Nigeria. But as we speak, that is still not possible until we have been able to amend our constitution to bring that to fore.
Yeah, all right. I maybe would even have a different argument entirely. And I would like that you let me know what you think about this. There's the argument that the conversation about a 6-year tenure or 4-year tenure is a distraction. It's a waste of time. And the reason is, it is deceitful believing that there's a lot of Nigerian politicians who are trying to be governors or presidents and will be able to achieve all possible levels of growth and development in 6 years. We've seen time and time again that even 8 years is not enough for these people to be failures. When they are going to be ineffective, if you give them 200 years as governor, they would fail. Shouldn't we, as a people, and the National Association of Nigerian Students and every other civil society, be pushing for a system or to fix our systems and every system of government, fix our institutions in a way that they can checkmate every single person who holds political office? Fix our state houses of assembly so that if a governor is there for 4 years, in fact, in his first year, if he already is ineffective, there's already a vote of no confidence and he is kicked out of office. Shouldn't that be the focus that we should have? Because again, an ineffective governor or president will be ineffective even if you give him 20 years in office. So the time frame isn't necessarily the problem here. It is the fact that we have weak institutions that do not urge these persons to do the work that they've been elected for. Do you agree with that?
Well, to a large extent, I would agree with you that we should strengthen our institutions. But that question clearly borders on what we call separation of power. and the rule of law. The purpose and the aims of Montesquieu, when he propounded the theory of separation of power, is that each arm of government would act as a check on the other, thereby creating what they call check and balances. If a governor or president is incompetent or is not performing optimally, it is the duty of this other arms of government, particularly the parliament, to call such executive governor or president to order. Nigerians, we have donated our rights, so to speak, to the people who representing us, either at the National Assembly or the State House of Assembly. And the duty of those people who have the avalanche of our rights, of avalanche of our voices, is to project it at the floor of the parliament, either the lower house or the Senate. And we must understand that when all of these things happen, the bulk of the work lies and stops at the table of our representatives. I tell people, you cannot be speaking with the two sides of your mouth. You cannot, at a point, elect a senator and House of Rep member, and at the same time you are speaking. Your voice, so to speak, has been donated to those people. It is those people that will go ahead and project it. But the challenge we have is that where the people elected to represent us have abandoned their primary responsibility of representing us, there comes the problem as a nation. I will not agree. I agree with you on the issue of when a person is not performing well and he will be in office for 6 years and nobody will be able to call them to order. That, to me, is an indication of a weak institution. If the National Assembly cannot call the president to order, or the House of Assembly cannot call the governor to order, it shows that the House is weak. So, as a nation, we should begin to call our representatives to account. We should call our representatives to make sure that they do their duties and of the obligations. They are not there as figureheads. They are representing us. And our voices should be heard through them, because we are practicing a democracy and there's a social contract theory. Whereas all Nigerians, one way or the other, we have delegated, donated, and given our rights out for people to represent us. So in this circumstance, I believe that NANS and Nigerians should now focus their attention on their representatives and also to ensure that they do the biddings of Nigerians. Not just sit down in Abuja and begin to say what is convenient for them. They must try to represent us and reflect.
All right, Mr. Fasomi.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you've made your points. Nance, I wish we would have some time to even speak with the representatives of the National Association of Nigerian Students, because I would also like to question them. Know exactly how they've also fared, as an association, how relevant they've been in the last couple of years in conversations concerning students, which they should represent. Ibuku Fasomi, thank you very much for stopping by. We would love to speak with you again.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Beautiful day ahead.
All right.
All right.